In this video, we'll be taking a quick look at the newer characters in the Real Champions tournament. This is going to be a pretty short video about, of course, these 3 new characters, which will at least see one of them in the semifinals. So hey, they're probably going to be fairly important. What's also important to note is that I don't expect any of these guys to be, let's say, fodder tier dudes, mainly because they are the strongest or at least the cream of their crop in their respective underground fighting arenas. We do know that the Kengan Association's underground fighting arena is a bit higher in terms of competition and standards, but these guys should be pretty good as well. I don't expect them to be horrible. But I did want to look at Justin first. And Justin is going to be the most, I would say, at least the second most interesting character here, because when we first see him, this is what is actually said about him by the announcer. The young champ of Underground 1, the face of Kensai's underground martial arts scene, is aiming for the top. So based on that, we get to basically know a few things about Justin straight off the gate, and that is that he is young, which also explains his energetic nature. So this is someone who, at the very least, you know, if we're looking at someone like, let's say, Swapang, where he's highly motivated, he's going to be very tough to put down. He looks like he's someone who enjoys basically, you know, the martial arts or the underground martial arts scene. And so those 2 parts are probably going to be a given. This is probably going to be someone who is extremely talented because, again, he's fairly young to be in the position that he is in, although we don't have an exact age for him. The fact that that's actually a part of his characterization as we actually see him means that we're looking at a very high potential fighter. His epithet is, of course, the Panther, which, I mean, come on, I can't say much from that. And we do see a few tattoos here and there, although I don't know what these tattoos symbolize at all. The type of martial arts that he's probably going to have, it's gonna be a bit difficult, because on the one hand, I can see him being a straight up brawler. I can see him being, let's say, a kickboxer or having some other type of, let's say, martial arts, although I don't know if Kansai is an actual martial arts school. I'm not sure. This is a bit confusing on my end when it comes to this. However, if I do Google Kansai martial arts, there's one school of karate, let's say, and then there's also, yeah, I think Kansai is more or less a company of some sort. But again, this is basically me just Googling it as we speak. And so those are the options we have for Justin, at least the options that I'm laying out. I'm expecting either A, a full-on brawler, B, kickboxer, and then, of course, 3, which is, of course, a karate practitioner of some sort. My expectations for Justin is gonna be, it's hard to say, mainly because we have next to no characterization. This is me trying to basically, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here, right? And so it could be that he makes it to the semifinals, but I can see that young lack of experience being the reason he has, let's say, a downfall or a loss of some kind. Although he probably won't be easy to put down. That's one thing I can guarantee when it comes to looking at Justin, his characterization, his young enthusiastic nature. It just seems like he's going to be that annoying character to permanently put down for his opponent. And his opponent is going to be Sakigake. Sakigake's a bit interesting. He looks more like a character you expect, you know, to make it far in this tournament. At least his character's design looks cooler than Justin's. Hey, that's what I think. And here is what we get when we are introduced to him. The announcer says this: the #1 underground martial arts promotion of Central Japan is looking to sweep the nation. Never underestimate the power of the countryside. And we get a little bit of characterization here. He's from the countryside, so he's probably not used to, let's say, the city life or the underground scene in the urban areas. Now, something that I found very interesting about Sakigake is when they're all standing together. And this is going to be very interesting because the way in which he stands, I know this type of stance. Basically, when all the fighters are standing together, Sakigake is, holding basically one of his hands to hold the other hand. This is a very nervous, shy pose to actually take here. And I think that's going to be Sakigake. I think he's going to be the silent, shy individual who's going to be fairly powerful. Again, he's number 1 in the countryside, so hey, it is what it is there. But his character is definitely, I think there's a lot of indications that he is more so the opposite of Justin, in a sense, where Justin is all hype, he's all about it, he's gonna be the guy you're gonna hear scream. Even in the picture where they're all standing together, he's the guy who's like, yeah. And of course Sakigake is right in front of him. He looks pretty nervous. He's not trying to, be all that hype. He's trying to be like, oh, okay, it is what it is, And so my expectations for Hiraku are just that. As a martial artist, I don't know, he's a complete black hole. We do know his epithet is the bounty hunter, and he is from Icy Dragons. That's the name of course, of the company, the underground fighting scene that he's a part of. Don't know if that will be reflected in his, martial arts style of fighting, of some dragon shenanigans. I have no idea. Sakigake or Hiraku is, to me, a black hole in terms of martial arts. We could have a mixed martial arts individual, or maybe he does do a school of Salat, because his fighting gear does look similar to Rolong or Lolong, because the manga does mix these names up a little bit. So the fact that his fighting gear shares similarities to Lolong, if I had to guess, if my life was on the line, probably a school of Salat. We're probably looking at a school of Salat here. But other than that, the rest we can only really tell when we get a bit more characterization of course, Hiraku. Which brings us to our last character. This last character is probably the most interesting out of the 3, in my opinion. And I think most people sort of see Ramon as the wild card situation here. And of course, let me read out what we hear about Ramon by the announcer as we first see him. Red alert, red alert. The most radical underground martial arts promotion has sent a bona fide menace to society. Now, this, in terms of characterization for Ramon, is pretty big, because I think we're looking here at a very dangerous individual here. We're looking at least in theory, right? Characters that are dangerous, like, Brando, or very lethal characters. And the fact that he's part of the Slaughter Coliseum as well, if you read Star Strike It Rich, we do know that they're currently having a tournament right now with the main characters and their new promotion. And what's interesting is that the Slaughter Coliseum representatives, the female cast basically, are all actually just straight up murderers. And so I think Ramon is going to follow the exact same pattern. I think Roland is a very lethal character. This is going to be a character, when he fights Roland, he's going to be aiming to kill him. And it's a bit interesting, mainly because Roland is the king of Purgatory, and Purgatory is, at least the perception of it, it is the safe underground fighting scene, right? It is the place that you go to not get killed, basically. Now, we do know Roland, he's about that life. He's killed many worm members. He's not afraid. There's no deficiency in the area of murder for Lolong. But I do want to note to that contrast, though, where you have Lolong, who is basically the king of the underground scene where you don't kill someone, and Ramon's from an underground scene, from everything we know, has murderers and people that are not really good to hang around when it comes to society. These people belong in their own corner where they can hurt each other and not innocent people. And so Ramon, I'm expecting lethality, I'm expecting brutality from Ramon at the very least. He does look like he's pretty dangerous as well. Like he looks like someone you would be scared of in real life. We also know that his character design at least resembles JP, and we do know that Sandro, well, was it Sandro? I think it was Darumon, retweeted a picture of JP. JP is of course the villain of Street Fighter 6, and so I think again, so much indication for Ramon that we're looking at a very, very brutal character here, downright malicious. And I genuinely think now that we have this characterization for Ramon, this is going to be the last fight. This is going to be the last fight. It's probably going to be the most brutal fight in the Real Champions tournament. At least I think now that I have looked into his character a bit more, this might be the biggest match in the tournament. Lo Long versus Ramon. Now, the type of martial arts he has. Oh wait, he did have the epithet of Doomsday Messenger as well. Again, it just plays into the character, the brutality, the menace that Ramon is supposed to have. So, martial arts, I have no idea. His fighting uniform is definitely not a part of karate, let's say taekwondo, or, judo. He's not in any of these. I'm guessing it's some type of kung fu, of a school of kung fu martial arts, but I'm really not sure. I know someone could probably find out. I tried, I did some light Google searching, and I was like, I can't find anything. I looked at a few YouTube videos. There's nothing that looks like what Ramon is basically wearing that I could find. So martial arts wise, you could probably find out with a bit more research, but unfortunately, I couldn't find anything. I think the most important thing, however, is that Ramon is looking like he's going to be the menace. He's going to be the dangerous guy. Roland is going to have, in my opinion, he's looking like he's going to have the most difficult fight out of everyone there. And this might result in someone dying. Someone's probably going to die here, unless there's a specific rule against, of course, killing your opponent. And Roland, we know he's the king of purgatory, so he's probably going to be able to do that somehow. So yeah, that's the video. I talked about these three characters. I find them very interesting, but I want to know what your thoughts on them are. And yeah, until next time, take it easy.